Look, I've made reference to this before in previous videos with the victims, specifically Cassie, and the other people that Diddy has abused, and all the allegations and all the civil suits and things coming up from Busby and in Texas and whatever. Some of these women are full of it. Period. I said it. Now, what makes it today, why I'm being so emphatic about it and why I'm passionately saying it without any reserve whatsoever, it's because finally, I think even there are women who are saying, in particular, there's a woman, an influencer, a YouTuber, Symone, attorney Symone Redwine. Okay. And she did a video outside the courthouse because she's been covering this diligently she's been in the courtroom and she's coming out and she does her live and she does her stuff. She brings up content and even she said it. So the fact that a woman is coming out and saying that these women are full of it, I feel comfortable now. I feel strong in my assessment of the situation. We're going to get into it. Time to talk. Diddy trial. Today is day 18. It is Friday, end of the week. I guess it's like the fifth week wrapping up of the Diddy trial. And yesterday, day 17, on the stand was victim number 2, a.k.a. Jane Doe, or a.k.a. Diddy / 50 Cent's baby mama. Could be. We'll get into that in a second as well. All right. Time to talk. Subscribe. Let's get into this. I want to first let's get something small out of the way. Small but funny. Diddy damn near got his ass tossed out of the courtroom yesterday for basically looking at the jury. Right? You know, he put himself in a bad situation there when you got the judge yelling at you, telling you like, look, homie, I'll toss your ass out. You won't be here for the rest of your trial. You'll be sitting in your cell eating bologna sandwiches or whatever he's doing, and you're going to be stuck if you continue to look at the jury. Because apparently some things were brought up and some texts and a few things with, what's her name? Brianna Bologna, whatever her name is. And Diddy was looking at sort of like, you know, confirming to the jury, you know, this nod of approval or sort of like, yeah, see, I told you, like that kind of thing. Communicating through his facial gestures or gesticulating, whatever it was. The judge caught wind of it and was like, yeah, homie, yeah, nah, you can't be doing that. You can't do that. You need to sit in the courtroom. You need to come in that courtroom with your head hung down and you need to look at the judge and or whatever and don't make eye contact with anyone else. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. You need to chill out. I'm waiting to see. I like to take bets. I wonder what the chances are that Diddy does get tossed out, that he's not going to listen, not on purpose, but he just can't help himself. He just can't help himself. It's one of the reasons why they speculate that he'll never testify, because I just don't think, even though it's his right, the law is, if he wants to testify, he makes that decision. But I got to imagine, of course, the defense is not going to want him to testify, and I think he'd be ridiculously stupid to do so because he can't help himself and he's going to say dumb shit, period. But anyway, let's get into Attorney Symone, this woman talking about Jane Doe, victim number 2, a.k.a. 50 Cent's baby mama. Let's get into that really quick because I just think this doesn't make me feel so bad as being on the outskirts or the minority of the people suggesting that it's possible that these women, many of them, had a choice to be there. And dealing with billionaire mogul men, you chose that life. That's what you did. So I want to get into this really quick. Let's check this out. This is Symone talking about Attorney Symone Redwine. Okay, Miss Redwine. That's her Cash App I'm looking at right there. But anyway, let's get into this.
Overall, why I'm mad at Jane is because this testimony the old girl and put in that's allegedly supposed to support coercion and sex trafficking. I think it's making a mockery of what Cassie had to go through. This girl really sat up there and said that she felt pressure to have sex, to do it to these S workers because Diddy was paying her rent. Girl, how about you get a fucking job like the rest of us? Get a job. She literally said her 2 sources of income was child support from her baby daddy and the allowance Diddy was giving her. Excuse me, ma'am, you are a whole grown woman. And I can't divulge who she is. I'll get put out the courtroom. But what I can do, wait. Somebody said, I'm sure Diddy done. What does it say? I'm sure that Diddy's done made Johnson & Johnson super rich. Got it. But this woman really sat up there and said she felt pressure to continue having these version of freak offs. They call it hotel nights. So she didn't call it a freak off, but she felt pressure to have these hotel nights where Diddy would watch her be intimate with other men. Okay, he would make her lick their bananas, and then sometimes do it without condoms. Then they would relieve themselves on her, and then dismiss him, and then her and Diddy would do it with each other on top of that man's cum on the covers. What? Girl, what? And when I asked, they said, you didn't want to do it. She said, no, I didn't want to do it. He said, well, what made you feel compelled? She said, well, he paid my rent. And when we broke up, he threatened to not pay my rent. This is one of the things this doofus said. She is a doofus. This doofus got up there and said that there was a time that they had broken up. And then when they broke up, he said, well, no. She was telling him, I don't want to do these hotel nights, which is the same version of freak offs. She said, I don't want to do these anymore. And Diddy said, all right, well, then let's just break up. Okay, but he said, let's just break up. But if we break up, I'm not paying your rent. So I'll pay 3 months of your rent, but after that, you're going to have to pay your own rent. Well, this doofus decided, he offered her, he told her, what allowance would you like? She said, I want $15,000. He said, I'll give you 10. She said, okay. Do you know this doofus? Mind you, she already said her only sources of income were being somebody baby mama, and I'm not going to say who, somebody baby mama, and the money that Diddy would give her. And this girl takes 100% of her Diddy allowance and says she wants the nicest, fanciest $10,000 a month rental home she can get in LA. You doofus. How selfish. You have a responsibility to take care of your kid. And she hates her baby daddy. And don't get me wrong. Let us know in the chat. Shake your ass, sugar glide in the chat if you hate your baby daddy. There's nothing new there. That happens. But if you hate your baby daddy and you got the opportunity to get a $10,000 a month allowance from someone, I think it'd be a more responsible thing as a mother to say, all right, maybe I'm going to take $5,000, get me a nice place in LA, and take the rest and put it away for a lonely day. Maybe I need to hire a lawyer. Maybe I get into it with my baby daddy. I hate him. I don't want to be dependent on him. She wanted to do every fucking thing but work. She'd work her mouth. But she didn't want to get up and get a job. I'm talking about this lady on the stand who pissed me off today. Because she is really making true S-traffic women and women who got knocked in the head and knocked in between the wash and dryer like Cassie did look like they're not true victims.
Well, there you have it. From a woman's mouth. She called her a doofus. She kept calling her doofus. Simulated the actual acts. I thought that was great. That was one of her best videos. I just discovered this woman probably maybe a few weeks back. Anyway, she called it out. Let's just keep it real while we're on it, because I mean, we can get into the whole testimony yesterday and what took place, but I already told y'all that that's not really my thing. So they didn't go, well, yesterday was testimony from victim 2, and she got to understand this is what she said, and she did this and got into drugs. I mean, yeah, there is some part of that we need to talk about, that how she got into it with Diddy, and Diddy basically brought up the idea that, hey, you ever think about having another dude join us or something like that? And she kind of entertained it, and he was like, well, I can make that happen. And next thing you know, she goes to the bathroom, he's on the phone call, yeah, dog, you available right now? Yeah, right? That's basically what happened. She went through with it, and she even said that it was exhilarating. It was taboo. I never did anything like that before. She got her freak on with this dude, and then it opened a Pandora's box. In other words, yes, you go down that road with your billionaire boyfriend who's banging you out and providing you rent and money and finance and clothing and all the other stuff, right? And then he wants to get a little freaky. You decide to do it. It's exhilarating, and it's going to open a Pandora's box, because now you can do all sorts of freaky stuff. What did you think was going to happen, right? What did you think was going to happen? So again, those are some of the details. I just don't I could go through all this. She made herself available through 2021 and 2023. All right, she made herself, and then she basically told Diddy, oh, well, my social media presence has declined because I'm doing these things with you in the hotel. They call them what do they call them? Hotel nights of debauchery, where dudes would come in and go raw dog on her, because that's how Diddy wanted it, to go raw dog on her. And then, of course, he was doing his thing in the corner. Again, not judging, not getting into all that, but this girl, she got $20,000, $10,000, have her rent paid and all this other stuff. So I really don't get, they're trying to show that so prosecution's point with this is that Again, this shows him controlling her life. Transportation to engage in prostitution. Let me tell you something. If a man or a woman goes on vacation in Miami, Bali, wherever you want to go, okay, the Maldives, and you hire a worker or the person you bring with you is the person that you're sort of supporting, and when you bring them to the Maldives and go to like a nice little bungalow or something like that, and you're getting your freak on, that's not prostitute. That you can't define that as transporting someone for prostitute. You're not transporting that person to go and pay that person to make money by having relations, sex, with other people. You're having your own personal time with that person. Again, a person who's agreed to all this. So again, I don't want to get to it. Between yesterday's biggest news was this girl saying that, and I believe today, Friday, day 18, she's going to be continuing with more testimony. And then we had the situation where Diddy damn near got his ass thrown out. Okay, but I want to really go back to what this woman is saying. The idea, look, we can speculate all day about Cassie being controlled. Oh, she was a young girl and she was taken advantage of, and this guy wielded his power over her and had all sorts of ways to manipulate her. She fell into that trap and she couldn't get out. I personally have a problem with that. I have stated that before. Do I think she's a victim of an abusive boyfriend? Do I think she had moments where she felt trapped? Yes. I think as a up-and-coming celebrity or entertainer or wannabe entertainer celebrity, okay, as someone in that life who clearly got with a guy who was going to help advance that career, let's not remove that from the equation. People seem very quick to remove that from the equation every time we talk about this, specifically when we talk about Cassie. The idea that she stood to benefit by being with Diddy, right? So when we talk about the idea of her leaving or wanting to leave, or could she leave, or to what degree did she have autonomy and could she figure these things out for herself, we need to remember there's motivation for a person to stay there. It's not just coercion, control, and threats that kept her there. There's also a certain amount of her own ability to make decisions, and she chose most of the time not to go 10, 11 plus years while she was going back and forth with other men. So she had autonomy to do certain things with her JJ, and she was doing these other things with other men in between the stuff with her guy that was tormenting and abusing her. But she stayed for no, I'm sorry. Something needs to be said about the benefit that's provided to these women. There's a ton of women out there who are living their lives through OnlyFans accounts and their Instagram accounts where they're loaded up with all they're showing is their body, and they're basically selling themselves. And that's what it is. To basically sell yourself to a billionaire, a millionaire, to be on yachts and to be in, Bentleys and living that life, and then complaining about the actual price that you're paying for that. When you knew what the price was going to be, you were down with that price. Just because it got a little more kinky than you expected doesn't all of a sudden make you a victim. If you signed on to basically pop your legs and pop your you-know-what and bend over and take it, and no matter what direction you were taking it and whatever city you're doing it in, if you decided to do that, and then one day the guy who's financing you and doing all this stuff decides, hey, I got an idea. Can we introduce bananas and cucumbers into this? Now, maybe you're not into bananas and cucumbers. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, I will if you want me to. If that's what you really like and that's what you're into, I'll do it. Okay, that point right there, you're deciding to continue to do something even though it's not really your thing, but you're making the decision to continue to do it. This Jane Doe woman, as this other woman, attorney Symone Redwine, pointed out, you had a decision. You could have easily been like, okay, no, you know what? I'm not down with that. I don't need my rent paid. You know what? I'll get my own place. I'll get a job. She was going to do OnlyFans. Apparently she asked Diddy permission to do OnlyFans because one of her friends makes $4 million a month or whatever it was, or made $4 million a year, whatever it is. These women are racking up. So I do not have sympathy for these type of women. I simply don't. I don't play the card of, oh, they're all victims because how are you a victim? Any woman who decides to get with a man who's financially more competent than her and has way more resources, and she makes the decision to get with him, when she gets with him, a month later, she can't say, he wanted me to do it from behind her, so I'm not into that position. I'm a victim, but I just kept doing it because that's what he liked. Yeah, you kept doing it. Look, We can have an argument all day. We can talk about what's appropriate between couples who are married and what's appropriate when you're a girlfriend and when you're a boyfriend. How should you act? How should you not act? Yeah, we do things to please each other in relationships. That's part of a relationship. Saying that he was financially able to provide you with resources and with money so that suddenly the people who advocate for this whole Stockholm syndrome and power grab and manipulation of women, right? Making the argument that, well, he had money, so that means all of a sudden he's a bad guy. So that means every single man who has the financial ability to take a woman to dinner and to spend a lot of money on her and treat her to a certain lifestyle, as soon as he gets with that woman, he's instantly a predator and he's instantly manipulating her and he's instantly a tormentor, an abuser, and she can't escape. Instantly. That's what you're saying. When you make that argument, that's what you're saying. You're saying anytime that a girl gets with a guy like that and she's wooed and wowed by his lifestyle and by the financial stuff that he offers her. When he buys her a watch, all of a sudden she's in his control and that's the end of it. No, you basically make the case that all women are weak. And don't even let me get started with the fact that a lot of these women are out there and they're nowhere near weak. In fact, they are directly responsible for what happens because they are specifically targeting men. They are specifically manipulating situations with their bodies, with the low-cut dresses, being half naked on Instagram and OnlyFans and X and all these other platforms. They're using themselves specifically for financial gain. So don't tell me that because you get with a guy who's got a ton of money, who decides to pay your rent and do all sorts of stuff, but he's kind of freaky and does stuff that you normally probably wouldn't do, that all of a sudden you're a victim who couldn't leave. And he's a trafficker and an abuse and a racketeer. This is nonsense. I'm actually, quite frankly, until the prosecution comes up with something new, I'm getting sick of the case and the idea of racketeering and sex trafficking. I'm just done with it because this is becoming like a ridiculous television show, like a reality show that's just designed and written to keep you watching and to keep you excited with salacious details of garbage that really amount to nothing. You want to talk about domestic abuse case and this guy being a total monster of a man, then let's do that. By all means, I think by now I don't even need to repeat it. I'm pretty sure everybody who's talking on this and rendering an opinion has basically all agreed that Diddy probably belongs under a jail somewhere just for what he did to Cassie, right? Just from that ass woman. But but the rest of this case so far just seems to be a stretch. Every single time you see any attorney talking about this, whether it's on Piers Morgan or on the Crime Network, wherever it is, every time someone advocates for making the case that I think recently I saw Ariel Mitchell Kidd, like just angry from the moment before the interview even started on Piers Uncensored. She's like already angry and ready to fire off and make it seem like the women have no responsibility here, right? It's like every attorney that's trying to make the case for racketeering and trafficking is really making a stretch. You're making a stretch. This is a guy who had the resources and the ability to get with women, multiple women at a time, do what he wants, have his little freak offs, do his little thing in hotel rooms, and he had fun doing it. And he got with women who were sort of like either easily pliable or were down for the lifestyle and wanted to take part in that, and they didn't want to give that up. You could have easily chosen, you know what, I'm done. The moment that the dude that you're with decides that it's not enough just to have a freak off and have me watch you with another man, but I also want to urinate on you and it's over and we both want to do that. The moment that you're like, okay, sure, because I'm so scared to leave. The moment you do that, that's on you. There's a line, I talked about it in another video because Bill Maher talked about it. There was a responsibility to this, and I'm kind of glad this is all getting aired out through this trial because the time is up for this whole idea that I went and he bought me a car and paid my rent and my bills and all the other things I never would have in my life because I was a broke bitch to begin with, and now I'm living the life. And oh, but he asked me to have oral and I didn't want to do it and I just kept doing it because he was paying my rent and I drove a Mercedes AMG G-Wagon and I didn't want to give that up, girl. I didn't want to give it up, so I stayed in there, but I was a victim. I was being held. You were being held, you're a victim? No, you wanted to continue driving what you're driving and live the life you're living, period. Own up to it. I close by saying there are definitely victims. There are definitely people. I think the victims that haven't been spoken for yet mostly is like minors. We haven't really gotten to that point. And I'm kind of curious as to how the feds haven't dug up any evidence on the age of some of these people that might have been involved in some of these parties, but that hasn't even come up yet. This whole thing has been about, like I said, it's been like a reality TV show, that scripted drama to provide us with the personal the personal preference of a man when it comes to his sex life. That's really what this is, and how he was able to influence. We could go, do you have any idea how many rock stars, both white, black, Latino, whatever, take your pick, how many rock stars, people with that much power in the industry, how many actors in the industry have the ability to manipulate women, not manipulate through, oh my God, I'm going to kill you, but just the idea of, hey, you kind of like hanging out in Lake Como, right? Hey, you kind of like this house I have in Hawaii. Hey, you kind of enjoy this penthouse that I have overlooking Manhattan in downtown Brooklyn. Yeah, well, you know, you could stay. Like how many men could be accused of being horrible men that are holding their women just because they're not beating them? But the fact that there are women who are doing things they probably might not necessarily do, or it's not their favorite thing to do, but they're hanging in there. Why? Because they got the money from the dude. Time to talk. I'm done. That was a heck of a rant on this one, but I just thought it was worthwhile, and I think it was justified, especially considering other women now are even saying the same thing. So shout out to attorney Symone Redwine for bringing it and keeping it real. She came right out to courthouse and she made it abundantly clear that that woman was full of shit, and she even called her a doofus, and I thought that was great. Time to talk. I'll see you on the next one. It's Friday. Today's day 18. Again, Jane Doe, apparently victim number 2, is going to be speaking again. We'll see what she says. We'll see what she comes up with. Diddy hopefully keeps his ass in line and stays in the court and doesn't look at anybody. Just keep his head down. Keep your head down, brother. Write something. I don't know. You never really wrote raps, but write something down. And Monday, we'll get back into it, and we'll do a recap of what took place today, and I'll see you on the next one. Time to talk. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like the video on the way out. Let me know your thoughts below. Am I being too harsh? Are you somebody who thinks it's all the man's fault and it's impossible for a woman to ever have responsibility and have, be responsible here? Let me know in the comments below. I can handle it, all right? And I'll see you on the next Time to Talk. Peace.